Hey there YouTube, this is SJM4306 and another exciting episode of TeardownTube. So yeah, I got this guy, let's see, you can just barely read it, but for $3 as is from the junk pile in a local used game shop that I frequent. Basically they have a bin full of old game consoles for like anywhere from like $3 to $15, depending on the problem. They don't really say what the issue is, but some of them are obviously missing parts. This guy looked perfectly fine. Couldn't see anything physically wrong with it. It's one of the earlier models. Let's see. Should be marked. It's a SCPH 7501. Does this have a date code on it? No idea. Yeah, here, October 1998. So, it's not actually one of the earlier models, I lied. Yeah, it's not particularly old, not particularly recent, but it has the parallel I/O port. As I almost break it, just trying to get it open. Ah, open! Why must you fight me? How is it this hard to open? Seriously. You're making me look bad. Okay, you know what? Screwdriver time. This is irritating, actually. I guess they don't expect you to have to open these, but holy heck, that was hard to get open. Anyway, parallel I/O port. One and only time I'm ever going to open that, so. Serial I/O, AV multi-out, and AC in. They have different models of these. Some of them lack the parallel I/O, some of them lack serial I/O, some of them only have the AV multi-out, some of them have RCA jacks for composite video, interestingly enough. This is a model that I have, and yep, classic PlayStation 1. Still works. I have no idea why it was in the as-is pile, because I brought it home. I think I maybe cleaned the lens off. It was a little bit dusty in here. Cleaned everything off, put a disc in, tried it, worked perfectly. So, damned if I know. Anyway, let's open this. So, as usual, 6 screws. Make quick work. Yeah, I have a Slim PS1, which I've done a teardown of before on this channel, but I figured, as I drop and break everything, I figured I haven't done a teardown of this guy here, and I got it actually quite a while ago, but I've been busy with college and whatnot. I've installed a mod chip, I believe a stealth mod chip, on my Slim PS1. I probably will do the same for this one, just because I can. Plus, I don't like playing my original copies. Wear and tear on the disc. I'm afraid one day they'll eventually die, so I'd rather play copies. So, lifts off like so, and there we go. So yeah, not really much to see on the inside shell. It does have a sort of one of those springy mechanisms that you see with CD players and whatnot. Basically, a big spring there, and then kind of a cog to a dampener piece, which is a little black thing in there. So it'll dampen the, otherwise it would just slam open and shut. And that's pretty much it. Interesting, there's a little spring here for the eject mechanism, and a light bar here for the indicator, power indicator. So let's get that out of the way. Now this pops out easily. So anyway, here you'll see the power supply. This is a latching power switch here. It's a big honking mechanical switch. Oh, that just feels really nice. You don't get that with soft power switches. They just feel so solid. So yeah, nice design, having 2 screws right at the AC input, where most of the strand would be fusible input. In case that trips, you can simply replace the fuse. I believe this is the... what is that actually? Does that... oh, reset. Yeah, that goes to the reset. So I guess, that's interesting. So instead of like a soft reset, it probably just, disables the power supply and re-enables it quickly. Interesting. Yeah, nice big caps in there. Nippon Chemicon, nice brand. I wouldn't expect anything less. Ferrite beads going from the power supply cable to the main board. Nice attention to detail with the cable tie here. And we have this memory card slot here, connected via a ribbon cable. Yeah, there's really not that many cables. It's just power, front connector and card slots, power for the... And that is one of the major problems with using your phone to record video, is when you receive a phone call, it interrupts. Anyway, as I was saying, power for the optical drive and optical data in through this flex cable here. So let's pull off the optical drive and have a little bit of a look underneath. There's no locking tab. No, this is friction fit. These always make me nervous. Okay, careful. Pull this guy out. Let's see, yeah, one of the main flaws in the optical assembly of the early units, I remember reading, they use pretty much plastic as the rails that slide along. So as it wears out, this one looks actually pretty good. I can see a little bit of wear though. But as it wears out, it'll slightly misalign the laser as it goes past that portion, and it'll move a little bit up and down, and that can affect tracking and whatnot and prevent it from reading correctly. So yeah, there's the optical assembly here. There's the spindle motor. It's just a DC motor there. Here's the motor that controls the sled. And there's a little homing positional sensor on here. Fairly standard for an optical drive. Has these fun little rubber shock mounts to help with dampening any vibrations. So let's get the rest of this out of here, and yeah, I don't think I need to pull the power supply or this front out. There's really going to be nothing on here. Actually, you can see there's nothing on there, but I can at least get this guy off. There's a couple screws. Sony has a neat habit of putting little arrows where screws have to be removed to get that particular layer off. Which is actually really helpful because it's not always obvious when you're taking something apart for the first time which screws have to be removed and in what order. So that definitely gets points in my book. And there's one here, I believe. And the shielding plate should be able to kind of move off to the side a little bit. Yeah, this guy has a little bit of dust and whatnot in here. And sorry you can't see anything, but there are a couple more screws on these guys near the ports. They really put a lot of screws near the ports. They were worried about them breaking off, and probably rightfully so. That's where most of the mechanical strain happens. One more screw and I should be able to lever this guy out. There we go. It's just a metal shielding plate on the other side there. Nice little standoffs there for the motor sled assembly mount. So you have this little switch here, which I believe is the lid detect switch. You have a hard soldered on metal shield. Which is slightly annoying, and I might need to remove that if I want to put a mod chip on here. Probably will actually, but luckily it doesn't go through the board. They're just kind of surface mount soldered, so I should just have to heat that up and I can lever the leg off pretty easily. This guy BA59 whatever, you can tell because it has these extra pads on the side for thermal transfer. This is most likely than not the motor driver or something involving with one of the motors. Probably like an H bridge or something like that. Very difficult to see underneath, but this is some sort of memory chip in here. You can tell there's a couple very large QFPs. These are going to be the main processors, probably one for, the main processor, one for video, maybe something like that. There's another one here, maybe something for audio related. And then there's generally, the architecture generally is you'll have a main processor and then its associated memory. And I believe they split up the different functions for this architecture, so audio and video and then the main processor are all on the same bus, and they share the bus data in between them, but they each have their own dedicated memory. Yeah, so other than that, looking at this, you can see, what is that, 7805 5-volt regulator here for local source. So power comes in here and it'll regulate that down to the 5 volts for the localized power rail. That's pretty obvious there. I wish there wasn't this huge tin. It would be so much more interesting, and I'm not about to desolder that right now. You can get a peek under that slightly, but no part numbers, unfortunately. Yeah, I've seen there are many different revisions of the PS1, and some of the boards are absolutely tiny. Some of them are just like literally half the size of this. Some of them are larger. They take up kind of much larger area. So if you're into portabilizing and whatnot, there's certain models you should look for. But I would say if you want to do that, the PS1 the slim one, the tiny one that I have, that one is by far minuscule, absolutely, and everything's on a single board, and it's just more convenient. And there's a lot of crud here. Looks like from reflow soldering. Kind of yellow stains. I'm a little worried about that now. No, it's probably just flux or something. But yeah, very nice board design. You can see all the planes. They did pore fills all around. And many vias under the BGA packages, and thermal pads and whatnot that go through. So yeah, very nice board design. And I will get this back together now. But that was pretty much it. There's no point in you guys watching me reassemble this. Fairly straightforward to take apart, put together. If you want to do an LED mod for the front, the power indicator LED, that guy's here. You can very easily desolder, then solder whatever color you want in. Interesting that they modularize the memory cards and the game controller ports onto its own board, but I guess it makes sense since it's at 90 degrees. But yeah, very easy to take apart and service. Not sure if there's, I don't know if I'm worried. I probably won't use this for, gaming. It'll just kind of sit on my shelf as, like a memory of mid-90s and whatnot. But yeah, a little worried about the fact that they use plastic on the sled rail. That'll definitely grind down over time. Obviously, a little bit of lubrication would help. But I can see already from whoever uses previously, there's definitely a little bit of wear, but it still works perfectly. But yeah, I would definitely lubricate that, and or if you can find, I believe the later PS ones they have metal rails because people are complaining about reliability issues. Anyway, I've rambled on for long enough. Very interesting. Pretty standard layout. You got your switch mode power supply, your main board, your laser assembly on top of a shielded plate, and your memory card slots and I/O ports. Pretty simple. Yeah. And this was the PS1. So yeah, I believe it came out, what, 90, was it 97, 98, something like that? I don't know, my memory's pretty bad. Anyway, I've rambled on for long enough, and yeah, I won't bore you guys anymore, so I hope to be putting up some more teardowns and whatnot, especially since I have one more week left on break. So if you guys like, the videos I'm doing, like, comment, subscribe, just do whatever you do normally. Yeah, most of my viewers are pretty good. I rarely get people who complain at me, even though I'm sure there are many things that I do improperly, or many things that I say that aren't quite correct. But yeah, if there's anything like that happens, feel free to correct me. Every day I learn something new, so makes it all worth it. So until next time, I will see you guys later.